Well, good morning, everyone. To those of you who are watching live stream, welcome to our June Group Insurance Commission meeting. I'm Valerie Sullivan. I am the chair, and we are joined today by our staff here at the GIC, as well as our Board of Commissioners. So we have Bobby Kaplan, who's our vice chair. We have designee Cassandra Roeder, who is our designee for A&F. We have designee Rebecca Butler, who is designee for Division of Insurance. We have Elizabeth Shabbat, Adam Chapdelaine, Christy Kleinard, Tamara Davis, Jane Edmonds, Joe Gentile, Gerzino Gerard, Patricia Jennings, Eileen McEnany, Melissa Murphy Rodriguez, Anna Seneko, and Timothy Sullivan. So we have a very busy agenda today, a topic that I do enjoy talking about many times, lots of good topics on today's agenda. And to review that, I'm going to ask Matt to go through the agenda, and then we'll take a vote for the minutes, just one set of minutes from our May 19th meeting. So good morning, Matt, and members of the staff at the GIC.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, commissioners, and those from the public who are following along. Thank you for joining us today. As Chair Sullivan notes, we have some really important items to bring to you today. After a review of the Executive Director's report, I'll turn it over to Paul Murphy, John Harney, and Leslie Montero, who will really cover two related topics: a review of our recently closed annual enrollment for fiscal year 23 coverage, as well as an update to the Commission about our member benefits portal. Really exciting and excellent work being done by the team here. We had a request recently to update you, and now feels like the proper right time to do that. We also have a vote on the consultant for the EAP procurement. As we mentioned in our May meeting, this is really in some respects, sort of an important early step in the process, where we'll bring on this consultant to help us develop our strategy so that we can have more informed discussions with you in the months ahead. We will then close with our CFO report. We're not quite to the end of the fiscal year, but we're quite close. So we have a pretty good sense of how we're going to end up the year. So that is a brief review of today's agenda. And I'll turn it back to Chair Sullivan for the minutes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Matt. So we had a really good meeting in March, and we sent out the minutes. So if I could ask commissioners to have any discussion topics on the minutes. If not, I will take a motion to approve those minutes as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All right, terrific. Well, in terms of my vote, I go yay. And then I'm going to turn it over to Andrew to roll call our commissioners for their vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Vice Chair Kaplan.
I'll abstain. I was absent at the last meeting.
Designee Roeder.
Yay.
Designee Butler.
Yay.
Commissioner Shabbat.
Yay, sorry.
No problem. Commissioner Chapdelaine.
Yes.
Commissioner Kleinard.
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
I'm abstaining also. I was absent for the May meeting.
Okay. Commissioner Edmonds. For a second.
Abstaining for the same reason.
Okay. Commissioner Gentile.
Yes.
Commissioner Giron,
Yeah.
Commissioner Jennings,
Yes.
Commissioner McEnany,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy Rodriguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Sinenko,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sullivan.
Yes.
Votes unanimous with 3 abstentions.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, everyone. I'll turn it back over to Matt for the executive director's report. And I just want to let you know again, Matt, I think other commissioners have said the same, that they really do like getting the written report ahead of time, and it helps us be informed of what's happening between meetings. So thank you.
Happy to do it. Thank you, Madam Chair. So I will highlight just a few items from the Executive Director's Report, all in the space of human resources, which is, there's an extensive update in that space. So we have 2 retirements to announce. The first is Donna Carbone, who is retiring from her position of data and from the data entry team after 48 years with the Group Insurance Commission, if you can believe that. With her many, many years of dedicated service to the GIC and the Commonwealth, Donna has been a highly valued member of the team, a very important contributor to the work that we do, and has seen the GIC through now several decades of changes. The second retirement is John Harney, our agency CIO, who is retiring after 15 years. John has, as I think all commissioners know, led systems initiatives at other agencies supported by ANFIT, and here at the GIC as an integral member of our leadership team. He's played a central role in the modernization of the GIC over that 15 years across a number of different areas, including the member portal. So you'll see a sampling of that work today when he presents with his colleagues. So John and Donna will both be sorely missed. Both are terrific colleagues, and we thank them for their contributions to the Commonwealth, their dedicated service to the GIC and our members, and we just wish them lots of relaxation in your respective retirements. Very, very well deserved here. So I have a few other HR comments to make, but that are more on the promotion side, but I wanted to pause after that, just in case commissioners had a word to say.
Well, I would just like to say that, first of all, for John Harney, who I've known for many years, and he will be sorely missed, and he has, done an amazing job at GIC. He's just terrific, and I want to, John, I want to wish you the best, retirement, and have a fabulous time and enjoy yourself. And you've worked so hard over all these years, and the work you have done is just incredible, particularly in such a very short time. So thank you. And also to Donna for all those years. It's just terrific to be with one agency and stay, and the work you've done and the changes that you've seen and gone through yourself. I wish you a wonderful retirement, and thank you for all your hard work and dedication.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way, Bobby. First of all, is it 48 years you said, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a crazy amount of time. So the amount of change is impressive. And for me, I also want to thank John for the the modernization work that's been done. I'm also seeing that Eileen is sharing that as well. And I'm sure every commissioner joins me and Bobby in applauding the efforts of of folks who are at the GIC and those who are retiring. So best wishes, Donna and John.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Those are all sentiments shared very much by the GIC staff here. So we also have 2 internal promotions to announce. Shane O'Brien and Christina Geary have both been promoted from within to the role of program coordinator and technical liaison, and both will be reporting to Chuck O'Brien, whose promotion to management we announced at the last meeting. Shane and Christina will move from the life insurance and audit units respectively, and will continue to provide some support for those teams during their transition. I want to thank both of them and congratulate both of them, Shane and Christina, for all of your work. And then finally, on the HR side, as noted in the last meeting, we are recruiting for several open positions, most of them in the operations unit, to backfill retirements and promotions. And we welcome and encourage commissioners to share those postings, which you can find on the GIC website, mass.gov/GIC, and under the news tab. You will also find it on our LinkedIn page. For those of you who don't follow us on LinkedIn, please do. So we've provided some easily shareable opportunities for commissioners, and we would welcome your assistance. With that, I'm happy to take questions on those or any other items in the written executive director's report before we move on to the calendar.
I don't see anything, so let's move along.
Okay, so I'll be very brief here. This calendar will look very familiar, and with the exception of adding our municipal update in December, it's the same calendar that you've seen from the May meeting. And as we all know by now, our fall and into the early winter will be really dominated by procurement work on the health benefit, but also the EAP and FSA procurements. So that's a brief look at the remainder of this calendar year. We'll stop and take any questions on that.
Anything new to the calendar that you want to point out? Because we do see this every month, and I'm sure my eyesight isn't alone, and sometimes I see the same things and I miss some things.
Well, the only new addition, as I noted, is the municipal update in December, which we've discussed in several of the last few meetings.
Okay. And will that, yeah, we just want to just say a few words on what that will entail.
So we are, maybe I'll turn it over to Erica Schiavelli. She's the one that's closest to the planning for our ongoing discussions around the municipal update. Erica?
Thanks, Matt. So for the Muni update in December, that's our usual annual update that we give about kind of where we're at with Munis joining or leaving. We are trying to put together some information to kind of set the table in advance of that for commissioners, but we don't have the fine details of that just yet, given that we're still several months away. So the Muni update that you see for December is our typical annual update, but we are working on, like I said, some table setting for the commissioners in advance of that.
And we haven't slotted anything addition into the calendar in the preceding months, just not quite knowing where precisely we'll be able to do it, given all the procurements. So.
Okay, thank you. We can move along. I don't see any other questions, so thank you.
Okay, terrific. So here we are moving on to our annual enrollment and member portal update. And I want to turn it over to Paul Murphy, our Director of Operations, John Harney, our CIO, and Leslie Montero, our Communications Manager. So here we're providing just an overview of those two items. With that, I'll hand it over to Paul and John to take us through that.
All right, good morning. This is John Harney. As Matt had mentioned, we thought it was an appropriate time to actually showcase some of the projects that we've done in the last couple of years and how we ended up at the annual enrollment this year. And we thought that it was important to show that backstory in conjunction with some of the events that have taken place in the last couple of years too. So back in fall of 2019, we were able to procure some funds for the capital funding from EOTS, which is the Commonwealth's IT group. And we're able to launch a project that started in about September of 2019. We completed the project in December of 2019. And what this project did, it took all of our forms that were paper-based before and put them electronically out on the web so people could actually do things electronically, didn't have to mail anything, things didn't get lost, et cetera, et cetera. And we put a CRM, customer relationship management system, to handle all of that incoming traffic and be able to monitor everybody's applications that come through. We also took anybody who still wanted to use paper, and we moved that traffic to a scanning operation so that it came in the same way the electronic forms came in. So we were able to do everything electronically at the agency. In December 2019, it went off without a hitch. We started rolling out all of the agencies, and we completed that during January of 2020. When we did that, no one knew what was lurking in the background for March of 2020, which was the pandemic starting. And we were able to move all the GIC staff remotely, which we wouldn't have been able to do probably 6 months prior to that. So it was very fortuitous that we did this at this time. And so at this point in time, we actually do not handle any paper applications. In December, once we got this going, we started thinking forward, for other things that we could do. And Stephanie Sutliff, who was our project manager and still is, had brought up the idea of doing a credit card system. And she had done this before in a previous project at the Department of Revenue and thought it might be a good fit for the GIC. We all looked at the project and we thought that it would actually fit for and make it an efficiency for a lot of our members and make it much easier for them to pay their bills. And so we instituted that system in May of 2020. And as you'll see on the next screen, please, you'll see that it actually was a very welcome process that was allowing people to pay their bills much easier. If you note, if you look at the first year, that started probably in late May of 2020, and we got almost $4 million in credit card payments. And then the following year, we doubled that. As of this year, we're on track to maintain what we did in 2021. And the reason that it seems a little bit lower is because we still haven't done our quarterly billing of the second one, which is our large billing. So you'll see that dramatically move up. I think the credit card payment system has been a big hit with our clients, and it also allows us to get the money faster. And nothing has to happen through checks and so forth in lock boxes. Can you move forward, please?
Hey, I just have a quick question, John.
Sure.
And maybe this is more for Jim. But is there any significance to, the credit card fees because, you pay a fee, or is that offset by the fact that we get the money so much faster and we don't have to process checks?
Well, there actually isn't a fee on our side. The fee is actually on the subscriber's end. So we actually do not lose any money.
Okay.
And there's acknowledgement when someone uses the system. It's through NCourt, which is a provider for the state. And it tells you right up front before you actually finalize your transaction that there's a fee associated with it and whether you want to continue or not.
Okay.
And no one at this point in time seems to feel that that's a, you know, a burden at this point, but it may be something in the future to look at to see what those fees are and whether the GIC may cover some of that or not. It's hard to say.
Yes, and John,
Oh, I'm sorry, Paul. Go ahead.
no, and I just want to also stress that, you know, when we put convenience in, we've heard from our members for a number of years, why can't I pay my premiums by credit card? We bill about 5,000 people monthly and 6,000 people quarterly for their benefits. So it's an enormous task to take on as far as we collect almost $18 million during a fiscal year in premium for members through billing. So with the convenience of paying by credit card, almost 25% of members who receive a bill monthly have now adopted this convenience. We still accept checks and online banking information, but it has started to take off and has really proved successful to the members where we're inching up to almost 25% of our payments coming in are through the credit card system.
Yeah, and listen, Paul, I'm not suggesting anything but being thrilled that we offer this convenience to
Yes.
our members. I just want to make sure that we're not burdening them with additional fees, or it's not, you know, taking away fees and you know, discounting what we have to, you know, provide the healthcare. So it just was a question of logistics on that. So I think
Right, Valerie, and I want to follow up on that as well. I agree with you. And I was thinking actually about the retired people, because some of these fees, I did pay a few things online with credit card, and it was an $18 fee through the agency that handled that particular payment, if you will. So I think that you have to consider everything. And in this day of credit card fraud, I think people have to be careful. So it just, you know, I think it's a great idea, and that's the way the world's moving. We all know it. I'm just cautious and optimistic that everything goes right. That's all.
maybe we could have like just some sort of follow-up on, you know, the fees, or, you know, Jim weigh in. But love the idea and the convenience for our members, and our members love it. It's helpful for the agency. It brings in cash. You know, maybe there's just a way to best manage the fees. But I think from a security perspective, what Liz just brought up, we have very secure systems, so we shouldn't have to worry about fraud, right, John?
Yes. So this actually, what happens on this credit card system is it actually gets passed off to that vendor, NCourt, who handles all of the traffic for credit card, or majority of traffic, I should say. There are other vendors, but they do a number of agencies, including the Department of Revenue's collections through credit cards, and it's through their system, and it's very secure, and they have to file compliance with the state during the year.
But can I just mention that they are also on the statewide, you know, procurement list, and that they have been, you know, vetted and approved by, you know, OSD, who has the, you know, authority to approve all the vendors that are on the statewide list of, you know, vendors. So, you know, there's always a concern about fraud, but I think it's very minimal, if any, you know, very, very low risk. But I would like to know how the fees are calculated. Like, is it a percentage? Is it a flat fee? Does it depend on what, you know, what people are paying? Is it based on, you know,
It's a
certain dollar
percentage.
amount? What?
It's a percentage. So
A
I believe
percentage.
it's somewhere around 2%. Paul, I don't know if you have the latest percentage, but
It's a percentage of the monthly bill, 2.35% of the bill.
Yeah.
It's the current.
Yeah, Valerie, this is Tamara. I couldn't find the hand up on my screen. I'm sorry. And I know that I use the Department of Revenue's site all the time to pay all my taxes, and I feel very comfortable with the credit card system. But I'm not sure if did you mention, can they do it through ACH, direct debit to the checking account, as they do in the Department of Revenue, which is really, really convenient?
There is
Yes.
that option to do that. At this time, we haven't decided to do that, but it's something that's on our radar that we would like to consider going forward. We did this to try to see what the uptake would be on it. And given that it's really taken off, it's something for us to see if we want to move forward with the ACH
Yeah.
with no cost to the GIC.
Right, because the ACH is just like using your debit card. And people use their debit cards all the time, which debits their checking account directly. And I think as long as it is described as such, that, you know, they have to monitor their checking account pretty much. That's pretty much it. And there's no fee attached to that at all. I just think that could be another consideration of an option in addition to the credit card, which is can be a substantial fee depending on what the amount is, because it is a percentage, as you indicated.
Yes,
So
sir.
And I think
oh,
I could
sorry.
also mention, that many of our members do online banking,
Mhm.
and we receive electronic checks for member payments
Okay,
through banks
great.
too. That's been an option all along with sending us a check. This is just another way to pay your bill. But we do accept online banking checks to pay everyone's premium monthly when they get a bill.
Terrific. That's just like an ACH.
Yes.
Terrific.
Right. I just wanted to mention that I read an article this morning about the 0.75% increase in interest rate. So, you know, the fee is likely to increase in the next couple of months, if not sooner. So, you know, perhaps we should, you know, sort of consider that sooner than later.
It's a very
ACH or
good takeaway.
I think those are great comments, all to my commissioners. So it sounds like, if I could wrap on the comments, we're bullish on this convenience for our members. We're confident in the systems, and we just want to make sure the fees to our members and to the GIC itself are not increasing or overly burdensome. So what options can we provide? But good discussion. Unless I missed anything, we can move on.
Just one added note, the comptrollers are renegotiating their contract this summer. So we'll see what the fees will be coming out of that.
Can I add one, Valerie? This is Anna. Which is that I just want to note how great the transparency is that you mentioned at the beginning, that it's very clear up front that the fees are there and that people will pay them. So I think that's really great. And I think once we've learned, you know, what the fees are, we might want to just take a look at making sure that that message is communicated to the members through that notice about the fees, right? So it's very clear to anyone who's paying it in advance, just what fee they're going to face.
Yes, and to be clear, I wasn't saying my bill that I paid was through GIC. It wasn't anything to do with GIC. It was another bill, but I didn't realize that other agency was not clear, and it was a fee on the end of the person facilitating it. So yeah, it was a shock. So that's all I'm saying to it. I'm glad GIC is transparent, but I think it's all
And
great ideas with the
and the
direct
credit
pays.
card, the credit card system does provide the fee right up front on the screen when the members go through. It'll give them the fee amount. And if they wish to pay it, they'll continue that way or not. But it does upfront give them the credit card fee if they wish to continue and pay it.
No, I think that's great. Those are good comments. Good. I think we can move on though. And everyone, thank you for, these good comments.
So with the success that we had on that first 6 to 8 months of the project, we are able to gather funding for the following year to actually start working on a portal and even moving away even further from any kind of paper-based processes at the GIC. And we started working on the member benefits portal. We had several meetings during the year, and I can honestly tell you that the operations staff had their brains picked to fare thee well of every little detail that goes into the business workflows for every type of product and how it manifests itself in all of our different constituents. We actually developed that and were able to get everything put in place in, doing user acceptance testing and creating user guides for people, multiple communications, created a resource center for the coordinators with videos and all kinds of things. We went a little bit, overboard, I guess, to make sure that everything was in place, since this was very new to them, but also very new to us as well. And we did training sessions for the staff and the coordinators, and it was quite a large undertaking. But we moved forward, and if you can go to the next screen, please. We started rolling it out. And as you can see, there's quite a few agencies that we had to roll this out to. And we didn't do this willy-nilly. We picked agencies for volume, for who they involve. We have coordinators who sometimes handle multiple agencies. We didn't want to inconvenience them, so that they had all theirs together. And anything that looked like it had a synergy, like all the municipal groups were kind of divided into 2 groups. And what we call offline agencies, which are all the other payroll systems that we handle, that people aren't aware that, we handle all the housing, redevelopment authorities, Massport, MWRA, all of these guys are somewhat independent. And so they have a whole different, they're a whole different animal to us, the way that we handle them. And it actually went very smoothly. And if you can move to the next page, please. And that's how we got to where we are today. So this is a landing screen. I'll let Paul jump in here, and since I've been doing all the talking, and a lot of this stuff going forward is where his group comes into play, where he does a lot of the handling of the calls, if there are any support, but also understanding all of these different benefits and their intricacies. So Paul, do you want to jump in here?
Sure. Thanks, John. As John said, this is our landing page. This is the actual portal. When a member logs into the portal, this is the screen they see as their home page. The blue box gives them the status of whether they are enrolled or not enrolled in GIC benefits. And if they wish to enroll, they can click on the button Go, and it will start the process for the enrollment. Up in the top right hand, we have a couple of tabs, Benefits and My Profile. Benefits we'll go into in a couple of slides, but what basically is the member can go in, click on Benefits, and see all of the benefits that they are enrolled in with GIC. It gives them product by product, effective dates, monthly premium, etc. The My Profile page gives them their personal data, name, address, email address, phone number, and the member can go in and update any of their profile at any time so that they can keep it current with GIC. The box on My Notifications is something that we just started using, but we want to develop this going forward as we roll out, particularly the retirees over the summer. But what this box does is we can put important messages to the member. We used it, for instance, for the Fallon, the elimination of the Fallon plan, and that people have to make a choice by June 30th if they wish to continue GIC benefits. We also use it for new hires. So if you're a newly hired state employee, when we get notification of the new hire, a box will appear here saying you have 21 days to enroll in benefits, and will actually be a counter which will say each time they log in, if they don't complete the process, it'll say you have 14 days, you have 7 days, and now you have 3 days to enroll. So it reminds the member that they have to do something under the My Notification. And again, we're going to take this further as we roll out and work on the project in the next year to send important notifications to our members. The My Application section of it, this is where a member can go in and start an application in the portal. Once they go through the application, there'll be step-by-step processes for whatever change they want to make to their GIC benefits. One thing we did when we approached the design of this portal is we know that members were confused and we wanted to streamline the enrollment process. There are many different applications that have to be submitted by members, and depending on whether you're a municipal member, a retired member, or an active employee, different benefits are available to different groups of people. So the portal will walk them through their application, and at any time, if they want to exit the portal, their application is saved and it will appear under this section. So the next time they log in, it'll say, do you wish to continue under there? And you can continue your application. And once you submit your application, it will also give you a notification that your application has been submitted. So at any time, the member can see the status of their application under the My Application section. The benefit quick links, these are help tiles that we put into the portal for members to walk them through the various changes that they may want to make on the portal. So for instance, qualifying events, which we'll go into in the next couple of slides, health plan carry-on directory will show you a demonstration of a plan comparison tool. And we have links to the GIC benefit decision guides, which takes the member right out to all of the guides that we have on our website and that we just finished up with the annual enrollment.
Yeah, one of the things I'd like to note also before we go on to the other screens is we're only showing you a very small subset of screens that are on the benefits portal, just to show you some of the features, but there's a lot more to it that we obviously don't have the time to go through every single screen, but they're here.
And then support requests, what that is when a member logs into the portal, they can open what we call a support request. If they'd like to submit a question to our audit unit about a bill or coverage, if they have a question about retirement, all of that can be handled through a support request. And the nice thing is that these requests, as well as their applications, stay under the member's profile. So at any time, we can see a full picture of the member's profile, whether they ask questions, they have enrollment forms, everything will be under the member's record. The new feature at the very bottom, members can now chat with GIC staff. So we have staff on the portal every single day. They can click on chat with an expert and they can get real-time answers within the portal if they're stuck on a page or they have a question. So the chat feature is something that we were excited about, and we launched it during annual enrollment, and we have some statistics on the chat, but it seems to be a very helpful tool for the members, and our members do like chatting with the expert as they use that. If you go to the next slide. This is just to give you a sample under the My Benefits tab that I described on the homepage. The My Benefits summary, there's a navigation bar on the left-hand side. It will list every benefit: basic life, optional health, Medicare, dental, and long-term disability. As the member clicks down on the navigation bar, for instance, you look here, it's basic life. This will give them the detail, the name of the carrier, the amount of coverage, the current monthly premium, and their effective date. So at any time, the member can go in and look at the various coverages and see what they're enrolled for and their monthly premium. If you could go to the next slide. This is a slide that took an enormous amount of time that we put together. We deal with qualifying events every single day with GIC members. So what we wanted to do here is to map out all of the qualifying events: marriage, birth, a divorce, and we wanted to provide step-by-step help tiles for the member. And we have an example coming up, but what this does is tell them what they need to provide, deadlines, documents that were needed to complete this process, and they can start the process within the portal when they experience any one of these qualifying events. The new tile, which we just added last month, is a retirement tile. This is a tile that we put in that walks the member through the entire retirement process with GIC. They can increase, decrease their optional life insurance. They can give us Medicare information. They can enroll in a Medicare plan, sign up for Retiree Dental. And it's will prove to be a very useful tile going forward for the members. Because one of the things we did when we looked at this portal is we wanted to put ourselves in the member seat. What does a member need to do to complete the enrollment process? And quite honestly, it can be confusing. People submitted multiple applications and multiple forms to perform various tasks with GIC. So it's very easy to keep sending us a form for changing beneficiary, enrolling in life insurance, changing a health plan. What we wanted to do is take that entire process and give step-by-step instructions to the member so that everything is in front of the member and they can make their benefit elections. So if you could go to the next slide. So each tile from the previous page has a step-by-step process. It tells the member what they can do if they experience a qualifying event such as marriage. They can go to family, change to individual, add dependents, cancel health plan. It gives them the requirements for marriage and birth certificates, but it also stresses the 60-day deadline they have to apply. So it maps it out for the member and puts everything up front. The member can then click on the Start Now button, and it will take them through the step-by-steps in the whole portal to complete their qualifying event. If you want to switch to the next tile, the next page. What this page does is members have always asked, they'd like to compare the different plans that GIC offers. So we built this in the portal that at the top, you can select health or dental, and you can select up to 3 plans, and you can do a comparison between the 3 plans. So it'll give them the monthly premium. The hyperlinks such as indemnity, HMO, POS gives a description of what that health plan's benefits are. It also tells them whether it's a national network, a limited network, or a broad network, but also gives them information that you'll notice under the health plans, there's a View Detail tab. So when a member clicks on a View Detail tab, you'll see on the next 2 slides, if you can move it forward to slide 16, it will give them a breakout of all the benefits for the plans that they selected. It'll walk them through, give them the deductible, copay, etc. So they can do, like I said, up to 3 plans. In this case, we're comparing Navigator to the Unicare Plus plan. So the member can see right up front what it costs for each one of these plans if they elect it. And the next slide, it's a continuation. It's a large screen, but for the sake of this presentation, we had to split it. So it gives them all of the information they would need when selecting a health plan. So
yeah, one of the things, excuse me, Paul, one of the things that you don't see on these pages that is available is that if you select a particular health plan, there's a link there to the actual website that the health plan has for GIC members, and allows you to navigate through doctors and hospitals and whatever other information that might be relevant to a GIC member. So you can get further into the details as well, beyond some of these categories that we're capturing here at the GIC.
Oh, and I think just to mention, our members like the plan comparison. You know, it's a question we get all year long about how they can compare the different plans. So we think this is a useful tool, and members will like to get this information right up front and select the various plans. And we also have a smaller one for the dental plans that we offer, the indemnity and PPO. If you could go to the next slide, please. What this slide does is give you a snapshot of where we stand with the member portal. So since we launched the portal last June, we have 41,279 members have registered for the member benefit portal. On the right-hand side, new hires. This number and the one down below in yellow, the 3,235, We send out member links as we learn about a new hire. So the payroll system, HRCMS, sends us nightly links of everyone that is hired into state government. The following day, we will send out a link to the member saying, if you'd like to register for the member portal and elect your benefits, here's what you need to do. What we've also done is we worked with the Human Resource Division, HRD, and they have many of our enrollment forms are in their site called Mass Careers. So we have taken out the enrollment forms out of the Mass Career, the paper forms, and we've put in information regarding the member benefits portal and instructions so that members don't get confused saying, why do I have to complete the enrollment forms through Mass Careers with all of my other documentation as a new employee? But now they have information and links out about the member benefit portal. So we've streamlined that process with HRD and Mass Careers and GIC. What we also want to note is that on the municipal side of the business, municipal new hires, we don't have interfaces to naturally all of our municipalities, but we've opened up the MAGIC system, which is our eligibility and enrollment system internal to GIC. And we now allow the municipalities to add new members into the MAGIC system. So as they learn about them or they hire new employees, by adding it into our MAGIC system, the following day, a new registration link will go out to the municipal member. So we've changed many of the processes for learning about new hires in the state, and we're going to continue to look at this. But the nice number here is out of the 5,347 registration emails that went out for new hires, 3,235 newly hired employees took advantage of the member benefit portal and enrolled directly online, which is about 65% of our new hires have now taken advantage on the new hire. And that number continues to grow as we roll out to members. On the next slide, what we wanted to do here is provide a snapshot. As many of you know, the first step with annual enrollment is we send out benefit statements to our members immediately prior to annual enrollment. So members have a snapshot of what their benefits look like going into annual enrollment. We send out about 250,000 statements a year to our members. We also include with that statement any updates that the member wants to make. It's an application that's included with their benefit statement, and they can make corrections if something was misspelled, the beneficiary name needed to be corrected, or they wanted to report a divorce or a remarriage. So up until last year, all of those correction forms, which we average about 9,500 to 10,000 correction forms, come into GIC every year to update the members' benefits. So if you look at the purple is the online DocuSign, as we highlighted earlier, that members can complete the correction form using the DocuSign process and send corrections to us. The green is the actual application that a member has submitted to our data vendor, and the correction form is scanned to us directly. However, with the yellow form we wanted to highlight here, the good news story is that the members started to use the portal last year and update their enrollments directly within the portal. They corrected the misspellings, they updated their beneficiary information, etc. So the good news here is that the 6,000 changes we received last year and this year were 6,000 less changes that GIC staff had to intervene and process in our enrollment system. So the members did this directly in the portal, which saved an enormous amount of paper coming into GIC, and the members took advantage of making their corrections directly on their records within the portal, which you'll see that for the purple and green box in 2022, we reduced the volume of correction forms coming in through the scanning vendor or DocuSign because members have started to use the portal to make these corrections.
One of the things, I'm sorry, Paul.
No,
one of the things that we didn't mention is that retirees are just starting to roll out now, which is part of that population that is still utilizing the other forms other than the portal. And we expect the portal piece to grow on this.
If you could move to the next slide. What we want to do here and following on the next several slides is to give you a snapshot of our annual enrollment period. This was the first time that we actually used the member benefits portal during our first open enrollment. So we wanted to give you some statistics on the annual enrollment and how the portal came during the annual enrollment, what happened for our members and how many members took advantage of it. So you'll notice here annual enrollment registrations. So by sending out the benefit statements in February this year, we gave instructions to members saying, hey, we have this new portal. If you'd like to go in before annual enrollment and register and take advantage of changing your benefits online, here's what you need to do. By giving that information to the members pre-annual enrollment, we found that almost over 9,000 members actually registered for the portal during annual enrollment or immediately before so that they could go in and look at their benefits for annual enrollment. The chat, as I mentioned before, we took over 700 chats with online members chatting with staff with questions regarding annual enrollment or questions they may have in the portal. Bottom two, email. We still have what we call the GIC online contact form. Members can reach out to us through our website and complete an online contact form that we can respond back to the member. What we did this year is we automated the process so that when a member submits an online contact form, it uploads directly to the member's record, which makes it convenient for us that it's not something outside of the member's record that we're looking for. It actually loads the online contact form to the member record, which gives us that whole picture of what we need to know when we're speaking to the members. The bottom one is the member support requests, members that opened up questions using that support request feature in the portal, and they submitted questions to us during annual enrollment. So it's just a high-level snapshot where we come out with annual enrollment using the portal. If you could go to the next slide. So this slide, what we wanted to demonstrate here is with the advertisement of the portal on the benefit statements in the benefit decision guide, you can see we've highlighted immediately prior to annual enrollment and up through May 4th, the end of annual enrollment. This is the number of people that logged into the portal in the timelines throughout the annual enrollment period. So we had over 68,000 people log into the portal during annual enrollment, and it gives a breakout on a day-by-day basis. And we will note that as much as the valleys are low, those tend to be on weekends, but members do have access to their benefits through the portal 24/7. So we wanted to just demonstrate how members took advantage of the portal and how these daily logins came about.
Yeah, this also, to kind of describe this a little bit more in detail, these logins, it could be that a person logged in multiple times. So I didn't want you to think that we had 68,000 when we actually told you we have 41,000 people. So, but it does give a true picture of the volume of logins and how useful people have found this.
If we go to the next slide, please. What this slide demonstrates, and we've shown you in the past, is how we receive enrollment applications during annual enrollment. So the bottom three, the yellow, the purple, and the blue, are the processes that we always use over the last couple of years since we launched the MyGIC link. So the yellow being the online DocuSign process, the purple being the data bank, the scanning vendor, when they mail applications to us and our vendor scans it into us, and the lowest one being email, that we don't encourage people, but sometimes we do get enrollment forms through the email. But the good news story here is the green line is new this year. This is the portal. So you'll see that many members went into the portal to make their enrollment changes directly in the portal this year. So that sort of took off, and we were happy with that members actually went in and used the portal during this year's annual enrollment to make changes. If you go to the next slide, please. What we wanted to do here is give you a snapshot of what members did in the portal. So just briefly, change requests, those are people that have gone in and updated their address, phone number, email address, etc. in the portal during annual enrollment. Inquiry is questions we received in the portal during annual enrollment from our members. New hire, that's people that were hired during the April and May periods for GIC benefits. The benefits are effective July or August, but there are newly hired people that went into the portal. The purple, the big one, is the biggest change. 8,215 people went in and made annual enrollment updates, changes to their benefits in the member portal. We had small numbers for qualifying events, marriage, birth, divorce. The bottom three are functionality that we put in the portal for our members. Many members like to update their beneficiary through the portal. So we put these, what we call standalone functions out there, so that a member, if they just want to update their beneficiary, can go in and elect to update their beneficiary and not have to go through the whole application process. So they can go in and just update their beneficiary. We receive a lot of requests from members throughout the year that they want to sign up for long-term disability and life insurance, optional life insurance. So we've also created these standalone functions that if that's all the member wants to do, they can go into the portal and enroll in those benefits or update their beneficiary. So those standalone is a good value for our employees, and they don't have to go through the whole portal process for some of the quick enrollments that they want to do or change their benefits.
Hey, Paul.
Yes.
So this is exciting. I think anybody who's heard some of my comments about open enrollment, I think it's a great way for our engagement with constituents and helps them. And the portal is just a great way to help them feel empowered over their healthcare choices and educated. Can you help me again with what's the difference between a change request and open enrollment? Is change request like I want to move from Tufts to Harvard, and open enrollment is I'm going to enroll from Tufts to Harvard, or what's the difference?
Okay, a change request is more on the personal information. So a member may want to update a name, maybe there was a misspelling in the name, update their address, update their email address within the portal. Once we send a registration link to the member, they can use the email address that the registration link went to, or maybe the member wants to update to a different email address or give us an updated phone number. So those are more personal data changes, what we call change requests. Open enrollment is actually the transfer of plans, the enrollment in the plan, canceling their health insurance, adding dependents, taking dependents off. Those are the true open enrollment changes that come through the portal.
And did you say that only actives can use the portal for open enrollment and not retirees yet, or did I get that wrong?
No. This year, we only made it available to active employees. Only active employees are in the portal right now. We just started the retiree rollout. So the retiree rollout started on June 6th. We did a small pilot for the retirees, about 5,000, to introduce the portal to the retirees. We had over 1,000 retirees registered for the portal, but we're going to do a phased rollout similar to what we did with the active between now and the end of July, beginning of August. We're going to send out registration emails to about 50,000 retirees. But right now, the portal was only available to the active. And then as we introduce the retirees this year, the retirees will have full access to open enrollment in the portal next year. But they're not all in yet because we just started that rollout.
Okay, go ahead, Jane. I see you have your hand up.
No, that actually clarifies my question. I thank you for pointing out that this so far applies to active employees. Do you anticipate any challenges with the retiree segment that you're addressing to make sure that they have full advantage of this wonderful opportunity?
I think people will take advantage of it. I think registering for the portal will be, something that they may want to take advantage and look at their benefits. But I think as we roll this out and once we roll out the retirees, we want to do a full-fledged advertisement campaign. Hey, this portal is available to everybody. Take advantage of it. Why don't you register? Look at your benefits online. Some of the things that we get from retirees are, how much life insurance do I have? Who's my beneficiary? That if we stress changes like that, we can have the member go in and look at their benefits as a retiree. The biggest change, I'll say, that I think once we start rolling out more and more retirees and we advertise this is the retirement function. You'll note that many times people are confused when it comes to retirement. What do I need to do? What do I have to do? And actually that retirement qualifying event actually walks the person through everything that they could possibly enroll, update, or change, particularly around the Medicare plans. So that will be a help for our members if they want to use that. And one functionality that we're working on now in conjunction with rolling out the retirees is turning 65. That's always a popular question with us right now. What does the member need to do? And we are actually working with the vendor, John's staff and operations staff, and we're putting a process together that we're going to let the member enroll in a Medicare plan when they turn 65 using the member benefit portal. So when we send out information to our members like we do today, we're going to put information in there about the turning 65 process, which, as I've mentioned many times going out and listening to the retirees, that's one of the more confusing options in what they need to do. So this portal will give them a one-stop, and we hope that they take advantage of it going forward once we get all the retirees enrolled.
All right, great. I know we're running up against agenda.
Okay, I can.
It's great stuff, though, really.
talk
And I'd like to just comment, and I have a question for Paul too. This is Bobby. So first of all, kudos to you and your team, and to John and his staff as well. This is amazing for being a long-term employee. This is fabulous. This is just amazing. And I have heard, by the way, from a couple of retirees, people who have recently retired, who are part of that group of 1,000, who have told me they can't believe how seamless and how easy the access is. And I have also heard from multiple state employees regarding this, how much easier, and they can go in and look at it on a daily basis if they want. So I just wanted to say kudos to everyone. This is fabulous. But I have a question regarding the chat. I'm assuming that the phone calls have decreased because of the introduction of the chat. Is that the case, or are people receiving fewer phone calls?
We haven't had a full evaluation of the chat because launching in this during annual enrollment, we're offset by all of the calls we get from members during annual enrollment. So our calls during annual enrollment, are always busier even than the health plans, and we have some stats later on that. So we haven't been able to look at that. That will be something that we're looking at as far as the chat, because we want to then offer resources to staff, doing the phone processing in chat. We want to allocate, different staff to say, today you're on the chat, tomorrow you're on the phone, so that as this takes off, I think we'll see more people with the chat. So more to come. We just don't have a full picture yet because not everybody is in there, but people are using the chat today.
That's great. All right. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. The next slide, I'll go through these kind of quickly. What this slide does is, as you know, the Fallon plan was discontinued as of June 30th. So we had 2,534 Fallon members go in and elect a new plan in the portal, using the portal this year. And this chart demonstrates where those members and what plans they elected in the portal. So the good thing is that members use the portal in the portal also gives us the ability to create and track reports like this so we can see what members are doing. The next slide. These slides you've seen before. This is about annual enrollment. What this is a snapshot, and it gives us the net gain or loss by health plan. So reading across, you see the new insured transfers. Those are people that go into the health plan, terminated and transfer out, people that have left state service, canceled their coverage, or transferred to another plan. So the last column is the important column. That is the net gain or loss by health plan as a result of annual enrollment. The big winners here are the Navigator, Unicare Plus, and Community Choice. Those were the popular plans and with the net gain of the membership. One thing to note here is the transfer to and transfer from, the 9,314. If you can go to the next slide. I apologize, it's a little small, but we wanted to get it all on there, is that the 9,314, this represents the transfers, where they transferred out and where they transferred to. So very quickly, if you look at the left-hand side, you'll see Always Health Partners. If you read across, the last number is 372. That's the number of people that transferred into Always Health Plan during annual enrollment in the various plans that they came out of. If you look at the top, Always Health Plan, and you read down, that is the number of members that left Always Health Plan. So it's just basically a transfer chart showing where people went, where they dropped, and it gives you a full picture of the annual enrollment changes. It's higher than it's been in previous years, naturally, because of the Fallon discontinuation, but we usually average anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 people that transfer plans during annual enrollment.
So, hey, Paul, Anna has a question.
Yes.
Thanks. It's just a clarification question. When you say people, is this subscribers? So, or is this like people?
This is all subscribed. This is the subscriber only.
Subscriber only. So these are like sort of, it could be more people moving, right? If you include their dependents.
Correct.
Great. Thanks.
And the next slide, we just wanted to give you some highlights. The member touch points. This Commissioner Kaplan, the GIC answered over 13,000 phone calls during annual enrollment, and our health plans answered 12,000. So with all of our health plans, 6 health plans, we still handled more phone calls at the GIC from our members. So more to come on the chat, but the volume of calls, is consistent with our annual enrollment period. Retiree Dental, we just wanted to highlight that over 1,100 members picked up the Retiree Dental plan during annual enrollment, and the plan currently has over 41,000 members in the Retiree Dental. Buyout applications, this is where members can cancel their coverage, go on a spouse's or another plan, and we will offer them a cash payment for 12 consecutive months by cashing out their health plan and enrolling in the buyout. We had 183 take advantage of it. 88 of those people did it through the member benefits portal, which allows them to do the buyout application as well. FSA, one thing to note here is that these are the numbers and the dollar amounts that they elected for the healthcare spending and the dependent care. Compared to previous years, these numbers are consistent, so that it continues to be a good benefit for our members, and members continue to take advantage of it. Just a quick snapshot, some highlighted numbers on annual enrollment and the portal. I know that time is tight, so Leslie is going to take over at this point just to talk about communications, and then we can take any questions after that if you'd like. So if you'd like to go, there you go. Leslie, it's yours.
All right. Good morning, commissioners. So this year, communications worked closely on annual enrollment with various GIC departments, especially operations. And together we were able to streamline the whole process, which, as Paul mentioned, allowed for our communications to go out to members earlier than in previous years. And so this slide demonstrates a list of these communications and depicts which ones have information regarding Fallon Health's departure and My GIC link. So the first of many annual enrollment communications, of course, is the annual benefit statements, which were sent to GIC members 4 weeks earlier than last year, as well as the GIC benefit guides, which were sent to members and available on our website up to 2 weeks earlier than last year. And so what's great about this is that communicating with our members sooner allowed our operations team more time to handle individual cases, ensuring quicker member response and case turnaround. So we were also able to streamline communications by reducing 2 of 4 benefit guides by 8 pages total. And we also took on work in-house that was previously outsourced, resulting in a significant decrease in overall communication costs and reduced efforts for staff personnel and design, print, coordination, and meeting time, which is always a great thing. This year, we also excluded a printed version of the benefit statement correction form and their return envelope. So this usually accompanies all active employee benefit statements that are printed. But this year, they can now make their changes online. And we promoted that through our website, whether it be through my GIC link or GIC online forms. Next slide, please. So this slide includes GIC website stats during this year's annual enrollment period in comparison to last year. Here we can see an increase in visitors, a dramatic decrease in negative feedback, and a significant decrease in ejection rate, which demonstrates that we have visitors or members staying on our website longer, indicating that our website restructure project is going well, and that visitors are finding the information that they're looking for, and of course, that the information is engaging. So overall, this year's communication efforts resulted in lower annual enrollment communications costs in comparison to last year, allowing GIC to save close to $23,000. We are starting next year's annual enrollment planning earlier to accommodate the additional communication efforts that will take place as a result of our procurement. And as Paul mentioned, we're looking forward to growing our MyGIC Link member benefits portal, as retirees will now have access to the portal for next year's annual enrollment. And that concludes my presentation.
Wow, well, really well done.
Before we open it for questions, if I could just say a couple of brief words, and mostly just thanks to my team. The annual enrollment period for us is, as I suspect you all know, an enterprise-wide effort. It really, there's no section of the organization that doesn't contribute to that. So I want to thank everyone involved, certainly on the operations side. Paul and Donna Wortman do a tremendous amount of work here along with their team. Communications, as you can tell here, is really critical to our success, especially this year, as we had some unique elements of promoting the portal and the departure of Fallon. So I want to thank Leslie for all that she's done working with the rest of the team on that. As it relates to the portal, this is, I hope you can see, really transformative for the GIC in a couple of different ways. One, on our operations, it allows us to be more efficient as an organization, and as John noted, enabled us to work remote during COVID-19. That was actually sort of preliminary to the portal, but all of the important work that had been done previously allowed us to navigate the pandemic's impact on our workforce. And then secondly, for our members in self-service, it allows our members to interact with the GIC in a way that increasingly they expect to be able to manage all aspects of their lives. And the thing I love about the portal is that it is so clean and intuitive. We've gotten tremendously positive feedback. So these projects don't happen without a lot of folks involved across the GIC, but also outside of the GIC. This project was funded by the Commonwealth's IT bonds, so we should give thanks to the governor and the legislature for that support. And also, as I think John noted earlier, this is a partnership between the GIC and ANFIT. And we've had a terrific vendor to assist us in that project with MTX. So I want to give a shout out to them. this is really one of those iceberg projects where, what you see through the portal is only what's above the water line. There's a tremendous amount of work that has happened over the last several years below the water line to make that all possible. And the last thing I'll note is that this is a project that we didn't contract out. As I noted, we have the support from MTX, which has been critical, but from concept to implementation, this has been primarily driven by our staff, by Paul, John, Donna, and so many others in the ops and A&F IT teams. So just wanted to make those brief comments.
That's great, Matt. Terrific work. I don't see any comments, and commissioners were able to ask questions throughout the presentation, but I see Melissa, you have your hand up, so go ahead.
Super quickly, wanted to say how helpful this has been for the munis. It's a real game changer for onboarding as well as open enrollment. It's made it much easier for us to interact, and so we're very thankful.
Yeah, awesome. So all those munis thinking about joining the GIC, take note. All right, you can move on now, Matt, and we have a vote on this, so good time to switch to this.
Thanks, Paul and John and Leslie. So here we move on to our EAP procurement consultant. We'll have a presentation by Janine Dewar, Health and Pharmacy Benefits Manager, part of Jim's procurement team, to present. Hand it over to Janine.
Thank you, Matt. And good morning, commissioners. I hope you all had an opportunity to review the staff recommendation that was shared in advance of this meeting. I am the team lead on the EAP consultant procurement. Our procurement team includes representatives across the GIC departments and also includes Nancy Kelly from HRD, who has been very helpful in promoting Mass for You resources. So Optum is the current vendor that administers EAP benefits, also known as Mass for You. The initial contract with Optum was for 3 years with 2 options to renew for 1 year. We're currently in year 5 of the contract, which will terminate at the end of fiscal year 23. In anticipation of the EAP vendor procurement, GIC seeks to procure an EAP consultant with a contract effective date of July 1st, 2022. And the maximum duration of this contract is 5 years. The consultant is expected to evaluate and offer strategies to improve the value of the Mass for You program. And the consultant will also assist with up to 2 EAP vendor procurements. Next slide, please. Our goal is to apply what we have learned through experience and feedback from members, commissioners, and HRD to the next EAP vendor procurement. And with that goal in mind, the EAP consultant bidders were tasked with demonstrating substantial experience in the management and provision of EAP services currently offered, and also those most utilized through the Mass for You program. We also asked them to provide recommendations for maintaining, expanding, or unwinding the current EAP, decreasing perceived stigma, or strategies to decrease perceived stigma, and establishing standards for EAP vendor transparency and reporting. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this slide shows the timeline for the procurement. The RFR was posted in March. We had held the bidders conference on April 1st. Bids were due at the end of April. Interviews were held in May. And at the beginning of this month, bidders were offered an opportunity to submit a best and final offer reflecting any changes or clarifications to their technical proposal, cost proposal, supplier diversity plan commitment, and or oral presentations. If the commission votes in favor of the staff recommendation, the contract start date is planned for July 1st. Next slide, please. Bids were very competitive, and after receiving best and final offers, the 3 finalists were very close regarding their score. Siegel scored highest in both the technical and oral presentation, and they really stood out to us in understanding how our members and use the benefits from Mass for You, and also they conveyed their ability to pivot strategy as needed as we go through the medical and pharmacy procurements, as well as an FSA procurement. We really needed a vendor to express their ability to kind of pivot in that way.
So, hey, Janine, I see that Christy has her hand up for a question. Seems like you led this team well. So let's hear from Christy.
Thanks.
Hi there. Thanks, Janine. I'm just wondering, was there something sent out that I missed that said who the 3 bidders were? And typically we get a graph that will show us the different categories and how each scored where. Was that something that was already sent out?
To my knowledge, I mean, yes, we did have our recommendation document, which should have been available to commissioners.
Defer to Jim on that question, I think. Yeah.
If folks didn't get the recommendation memo, we can certainly make sure that gets sent out with that information. I'll double check.
And if it's not a violation of the procurement rules, could you share with us, or is it confidential?
Could we share who the bidders were? Is that what the question is?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the bidders were Mercer, Siegel, Brown and Brown. Also had WTW. And 1 second.
Okay, Bobby has her question. Did that answer your question, Christy? And Jim, if you can do a follow-up.
Yes, it answered my question. I just felt like I was missing some information, so I just must not have received something. So thank you.
And Bobby,
okay, thank you. We'll take care of that.
Go ahead, Bobby.
Sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to echo what Anna said. I don't recall receiving that chart where we know how they were rated, what the criteria were. I might have missed it also. So I don't know. And I'm curious about Siegel, what experience they've had or with other states, and were those states, if you know, were they similar in size or similar in membership? Very curious number of state employees.
Off the top of my head, I do not have the states that they had experience with, but they did have displayed experience with a client of our size. And I believe that was the case with all 3. So that was really a criteria across the board. That's why all 3 were finalists. There were, I can provide more information about specifics that stood out with their experience following the meeting.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Bobby and Christy. I appreciate that. Jim, appreciate the follow-up. I don't see any other questions. The Siegel will start work on July 1st. That's through their contractual arrangement. If they start work for us on the 1st, what should we expect from them?
Sorry, can you repeat that, please?
just, contractually, they'll start work for us as our consultant on July 1st, but what are you expecting, timing for the work that they'll do?
So if you go, this slide, I think there was a move to vote on this slide. There is more information on the following slide. What we are expecting them to do is to develop more of a strategy with us. So we would, go through the contractual period and have everybody on the same page in that regard. Then we would schedule a kickoff meeting as soon as possible, start drafting the RFR, what we expect from the RFR, what we're really looking for to enhance and maximize the value of the EAP program.
Okay, so this is, yeah, got it. So I just want to make sure all commissioners know we are requesting approval for this consultant to work with us on, the GIC on selecting, helping us build an RFP that helps us select the best EAP for our organization. Bobby, do you have another question?
Yes, I do. Thanks, Valerie. I wanted to know if Siegel would provide us in the September meeting, sort of an update of, what they've done over the summer, regarding, preparing the RFR, if they could, or what they looked at, or is it possible, or is that going to, violate, procurement law? Will they be able to provide us with information?
I think we should certainly be able to provide an update as is planned, and so long as everything contractually works out, we will make sure that that's part of our next steps, is to be prepared for them to present in the September meeting.
Thank you.
Madam Chair. I will send out a NDA related to this procurement once we've contracted. They'll allow us to share the information with you. So commissioners should look for that.
Great, I love it, Andrew.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we'd like to have as much information as possible. I think what I'm hearing from the commissioners in terms of what we're voting on, but putting our faith in what you've shared with us to date. I'm looking for a motion to approve that we hire Siegel as a consultant for EAP services and consulting services to move to the next. And if we're not successful with that Siegel contract, then we move to the next highest bidder. And I'm looking for a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Okay. So motion by Bobby. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I think that was Liz. At this point, I would like to take a vote on this motion. For me, Andrew, I'm a yay.
Vice Chair Kaplan,
Yay.
Designee Roder,
Okay.
Designee Butler,
Yay.
Commissioner Shabbat,
Yes.
Commissioner Chapdelaine,
I think he may have already left.
okay. Commissioner Kleinhard,
I will have to abstain just because I apologize. I just don't have the information I need to vote on this.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Edmonds,
Maybe come back to her. She might be on.
yep.
No,
Commissioner Gentile,
I'm sorry, I'm here. I had it on mute. My apologies. I said yay.
thank you. Commissioner Gentile,
Yes.
Commissioner Garand,
Yes.
Commissioner Jennings,
I'm going to abstain.
Commissioner McEnany,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy Rodriguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Sinenko,
Yes.
and I think, well, Commissioner Tim Sullivan, if he's still with us.
He was leaving at 9:20, I think.
Okay.
So,
So the motion passes with 2 abstentions.
well, thank you. Thank you to all commissioners. Thank you to staff. And as follow-up, if we could put in the notes and have throughput, we'd like to hear more as per Bobby's recommendation in September.
Mhm. And I'd like to thank you all, and I apologize that the memo did not go. We will get that out with that information immediately following this meeting. If anyone has questions on that, they can follow up. And as you said, we'll follow up in the fall with more information on EAP in general as requested. Thank you.
But I think we can move on.
There was one more slide following
Okay,
the
good.
vote, which is next steps for the EAP procurement, which I believe that we covered. So
Good.
I think that we can probably move on to the next slide, if you agree.
Well, thank you very much, Janine, and to the whole team who worked on this, with mental health issues being front and center every day in our lives. We would love to have an EAP that truly makes a difference in the lives of our constituents. So let's see what we can get going for the next go round.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, commissioners. We're going to move on to the final item on today's agenda, which is our CFO report. And for that, I'll hand it over to Jim.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Appreciate it. We are almost all the way through FY22, so we thought we would give a budget update at this point. We will also come back in September and give you the final FY22 results as we kick off FY23 as the years keep rolling on. These slides will be familiar to you, and the pattern has not changed. That's the punchline. We've been seeing the same things over the course of the year. This slide, as chart, as you remember, shows medical claims through the period of COVID, and they continue to trend up ever so slowly to a certain extent towards where we were on average in the prior COVID environment, and we expect that to continue to happen. And of course, within these claims, there's also deferred care and those kind of things. So it's not quite an apples to apples comparison, but it is good information to have to see where we are in the post-COVID environment, or in not quite post-COVID environment, the current COVID environment as we continue to work through this. Next slide, please. And again, related to COVID, here are the claims by month. Some things to note here beyond the dollar totals that I like to point out is over the course of the pandemic, you've seen the claims go up and down, and some of that is both volume and the amount of care and waves of the pandemic, but some of it is also treatments and things like that have changed over the course of the pandemic. So we're spending the money differently in claims. There are different things that are related to COVID claims, and in the future, Margaret Anschutz and her team, as they did last year, will put a data warehouse presentation together that'll get into the specifics of what money was spent on and what we were seeing in our population. But this is dollars out the door, and it's still a little bit revealing, but doesn't quite have the granular detail that we'll get in a future meeting. Next slide, please. These are the informational slides that you're familiar with that show what we're paying to each vendor each month over the course of the year that adds up to our total budget spend. And this is the Commonwealth side of those expenses. Next slide. And the enrollee share for those expenses, which is a mirror image of the Commonwealth share, but this shows what the enrollees have also contributed towards healthcare and ancillary benefit costs. Next slide, please. And here are the line graphs that you're all familiar with seeing. This is where the blue line is how we forecasted the budget for the year, and the red line is the actual budget spending by month. And next slide, please. And you can see here the only difference is, since we're at the end of the year, they're almost identical slides, but the red line of actuals builds up over the course of the year to show our actuals. We only have 1 month to go, as you can see here. And finally, next slide. As you know, I like this slide because it shows the enormity of our budget. We have a large budget, so although we see a lot of volatility over the course of the year, we are generally right on in terms of actual spending as a percentage of the budget. This year, the fact that there is a gap shows that we are going to be a little bit favorable to budget probably by the end of the year. And the next slide will show the dollars involved in that. As of now, through May, we're about 2% under budget, which comes out to about 48 million. We're certainly not going to spend 48 million in budget over the next month, so we'll probably end up with a favorable budget range in and around this figure, probably a little north of this figure. If we were Catherine Moore and the budget team, who do a great job with these projections, would put it at 50, 60 million, something like that would be our expected. But there is a lot of volatility involved, so we'll wait until the year actually closes to close the books and give you that. But we certainly are not going to be under budget at this point. I went through that pretty quickly as usual because I think we're all familiar with these slides. But I'm happy to take any questions if you have them.
I don't see any questions. You're right.
No, I have a question for Jim. So can you repeat again what that number would be?
Which number?
That we might have remaining if you projected that
Towards
number.
the end of the year. So
Yeah,
we're
for the end of the year.
$48 now through May. We would expect that to be between 50 and perhaps 60 million when we get to June. If we're favorable, generally, we think we might be favorable for the month of June. So we'll add to this 48 million, but probably in the range of $5 to $10 million more. So 50 to 60 million favorable to budget would be my guess, would be my educated guess, not a guess. We don't guess.
Okay, and that's okay, and that's monies that would be returned, right?
That would revert, right? That would revert
to the general fund,
to the
right?
general fund. Correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anytime.
I like how when I said we have no questions and 3 hands came up at once. So I need to be more patient in waiting for that. So go ahead, Eileen. Ask your question, please.
Sure. Mine is just a comment, and I just want to say kudos to your team, Jim. Doing budget projections on that big of a budget and coming in that close, and it's pretty much year after year. It is a job well done. So I just want to say kudos.
Oh, thank you very much. And I really do need to thank Catherine Moore and Margaret Burr, particularly on my team, who do just a fantastic job with this every year. I do the presenting, but they do a lot of the hard work behind the scenes.
Yeah. No, and I agree, Eileen. I also think the administration does a good job listening to what we need. So they give us budget to fund us in a way that makes it easier to take care of our constituents. I remember years past where the situation wasn't always that way. So anyways, I digress. Jane, go ahead. I see your hand is up.
Well, actually, Eileen stole my words. I just wanted to say that, Jim, you and your team are awesome. We are lucky to have you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Very much appreciate it. It is a very good team, a small but mighty team, as we say.
Excellent. I don't see any other hands. So I'd also like to add, my thanks to Jim and your team for the good work that you do.
Thank you.
We ask an awful lot of Jim as our CFO and Chief Procurement Officer, and he's terrific. I can't miss the opportunity to chime in as well, Jim. Sorry.
Thank you, Beth. I appreciate it.
All right. We can move on.
So, Madam Chair, this brings us to the last agenda item, other business and adjournment. So if there's other business that commissioners would like to raise, we're happy to hear them now before we adjourn.
I don't see any other suggestions for business. I know that all commissioners are eager to hear, what's going on with the medical and pharmacy procurement. So I know staff are working very, very hard on those, and it's a huge lift. It's probably the biggest amount of workload that the GIC staff has on their plate in the last 5 years. And so, keeping the ships running or trains running, I guess is probably more appropriate. But I'm thinking summer and ships, can't help it being on the Cape. But the work that the team is doing is very appreciated. We want to send you off for the summer on doing that hard work for constituents. So much appreciation. We're looking forward to hearing about the EAP. Mental health is on every commissioner's mind. So we want to make sure we're taking care of our constituents. So good work there on that. And then, you know, we know how good the GIC benefits are. So we definitely want to hear about, you know, what the team is doing to engage and be successful in bringing on new munis, as Adam and Melissa can attest. Their munis are very happy and they are happy with us. So I've given you a little bit of time to think about some other business to bring up, and I don't see any. So at this point, with no additional business, I will adjourn this meeting. Have a great summer, everyone, and thanks for the hard work, staff at GIC and commissioners for your attention throughout these meetings.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great summer.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.